Alright, so I'm going to do a little video here talking about faster in reverse. Seems to be coming up a lot lately, and so I'm going to show you what I know or what I've found based on my own experience and a few things I've read about, and what the cause is and how to correct it. So what I'm starting out with is I'm pulling out some armatures here in my parts box here, see if I can find some good examples of the before and after. Oh, there's a good one. If you look at this armature here, you see that dark ring and then two shiny rings? I've taken this armature and I started to clean it by sticking it in my drill and then sticking it in the hole and spinning it. And I only did it lightly just so that I could see what kind of a trough I have built into this. And now those dark areas are the parts that didn't touch the sandpaper. So you can see that there's actually a groove in there. That's one reason. The other thing you're looking for is a thing called cupping. As soon as I find one here. This one has sort of got it. I don't know how well you can tell it. Let me see if I can zoom in here. If you look right at each break in the plates, there's a dark spot. It's actually worn deeper there than it is everywhere else. And so the brush kind of loses contact there as the armature is rotating. So what you have to do is you have to sand these down until, oh, here's another good one that shows you that, if I can get it under the lens. Yeah. There's another good one that shows you what that looks like. And what you need to do is you need to clean them on a piece of sanding block so that when you're done they look like this. When you're done, it needs to look like this. Now you can't just do this by taking a Dremel and a buffing wheel and buffing the surface. That won't make it flat, it'll just clean the surface. So it's important that the entire surface be flat. And the best way to achieve that is to take a hand drill and chuck up your armature. Oh, this is the good one. Let me do it on one that needs it. There's that first one I showed you that had the groove in it. Chuck it up and then put it flat into the sandpaper. It's basically just a block of wood with some holes drilled in it, and then the sandpaper's got holes in it to match. Put it on there. This one's medium grit, this one's fine grit. I think this is 180 and 320. And so you can see that groove was not all that deep because it's already completely cleaned. And then you can put it in the fine paper if you want it to get a shinier finish doing the sandpaper. That's fine afterwards. Now once you've done that, now a lot of these will take a long time to get the groove removed because it's so deep. You don't want to do that sanding against the sandpaper for long periods of time, because this will start to get hot and you could do other damage. So you do it for a little bit, go away, let it cool off, do some more, and gradually get it till you get that nice shiny finish on it. So after you've been sanding these, if they take a lot of sanding, these little slots between the commutator plates are going to fill up with pieces of copper. So then you need to take something that's fairly pointy. You can kind of see how it's orange all the way through there, and just run it through there and clean those out. Otherwise you'll have a short between the plates. And if you have a short between the plates and you try to run it after about just a few seconds, that whole thing will start to glow. Ask me how I know. So that's what you're looking for a finished product. I think for the most part, when you have faster and reverse, it is due to the cupping. If you look at this one, it's not a great example, but if you look at it, you might notice that the black area is greater on one side than the other. That's because, for the most part, you run your engine forward. And so the wear happens more on one side of the plate than the other because of the direction it's spinning. And so it makes, when you're running it one way, after a while that will act to slow down the engine because it's not making good contact. And then when you go the other way, that becomes less of a factor, and it goes faster and forward. And you'll find that if you take one that you have that's going faster in reverse and you just sand it lightly, you'll see this. And then when you sand it all the way down till it looks like this, that phenomenon will go away. Now there are other things that are important when it comes to making it run effectively. One of them is making sure that your brush bracket is clean. When you drop a brush into the hole there, when you have everything apart, that brush should just fall right through it. There should be no resistance. If you drop a brush in there and it gets stuck, that's not clean enough. Because after a while, as the carbon breaks down on the brushes, it builds up in those tubes and makes it so the brush can't move. And you'll notice when you're running an engine, the armature can move back and forth. This is kind of an exaggerated one, but you can see how much that moves. Even if you put the right amount of thrust washers in there, there should be a little bit of movement because you don't want it to be too tight. But as that is moving back and forth while the engine's turning, the brush is moving back and forth in the brush holder, being pushed forward by the spring. Well, if there's resistance on that brush moving back and forth, when this moves forward, the brush doesn't move forward with it at the same speed. It takes a short amount of time to catch up. Well, it's not making good contact during that time, and that's going to also affect how much you get out of your motor. And I believe that you will see more of this back and forth play when your engine's running forward, because the direction of the stress on the gears allows it to move back and forth. When it's in reverse, it's pinned, the force is pinned back and the armature is held against the brush bracket, so there's less movement of the brush. But when you're going forward and it can go back and forth like this, if the brush can't keep up, you're going to lose some of your motor's efficiency. So, to summarize, you need to turn this into this, and you have to have a very clean brush tube in your brush bracket so that your brushes can move effectively and stay up against the armature plates at all times. Try it, you'll like it.